Hey guys, it is Wednesday, June 26th. Today on the podcast, Jonathan Perkins joins me as a guest to discuss crypto art. He's the co-founder and CPO of SuperRare. SuperRare is a social marketplace for buying, selling, and trading digital artworks. We have a great conversation talking about SuperRare and crypto art in general, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Don't forget to share this episode with somebody that you think would enjoy learning more about crypto art or blockchain. Also, make sure to subscribe and leave a review if you have not already. All right, enjoy.
This is the BlockHash Podcast.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Hope your week's going well and everything. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your story and how you got into blockchain and crypto.
Let me see. I originally got interested in crypto through Bitcoin. I was in college towards the later 2000s, right around the height of the financial crisis and that whole fiasco. And I think I remember hearing about Bitcoin for the first time through a friend who was, talking about the Silk Road. I think Wired magazine had done a article on the Silk Road and Bitcoin, maybe around 2010, 2011, something like that. And never really thought too much about it through then at that time, because it was mostly in the context of buying suspicious things online.
Right.
And then over the next couple of years, as the whole bailout stuff sort of started to unfold, it increasingly piqued my interest as a actual legit a global financial infrastructural thing. And really kind of a good friend of mine and I really kind of fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole in 2013, around the time that there was that big price run up that year. Yeah, just I guess involved as as an investor, and just learning as much as I could about it during that time. And then when Ethereum launched in 2015, around that time I was actually learning to code. So I was working as a developer in New York, and I had some friends who were working on a bunch of Ethereum projects. And then essentially in 2017, decided to undertake a startup and launch something on Ethereum.
Very cool. What kind of coding language were you diving into?
Mostly JavaScript. I kind of come at coding from a entrepreneurial product and UX perspective. So my focus is mostly building good user experiences. So React, JS, application layer, full stack JavaScript stuff.
Gotcha. Did you have to learn Solidity when getting into SuperRare and everything for Ethereum, or did you just hire people that kind of had that skill?
Luckily, we have a CTO who's he's a low level sort of blockchain wizard guy. So so he does all our Solidity coding. He has a lot of experience with it. So I can read through and kind of understand what's going on, but that's thankfully doesn't have to be my area of expertise.
That's good. Yeah, I heard it's a big leap in terms of coding. So just completely different language and everything.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting. It's with the deploying your code on the blockchain with all your methods exposed to everybody permanently there, you can't update it. People have said it's kind of more like hardware engineering, where it's you make something once and then it has to live there. So it has to be, it's this kind of raises the bar with security and all these other kind of crazy implications.
Absolutely. I've tried learning coding a number of times in college and outside of college, and trying to learn Python and stuff, which isn't too bad. But yeah, it's a hassle, and it's a lot to learn and put to memory, especially if it's something that's brand new like Solidity. So how did you start SuperRare?
Yeah, good question. So well, yeah, maybe I should start with so SuperRare is a social marketplace for collecting and trading crypto art. And crypto art is digital art that's backed by a token on the blockchain. And so Um, it was essentially like, second half of 2017. Um, my cousin John and I were, kind of like tossing around ideas of something to start. We've always kind of worked on side projects together, and the non-fungible token standard was kind of emerging. This was before CryptoKitties launched, but like this project called CryptoPunks had launched on Ethereum, and there were people doing stuff with collectible assets on the counterparty blockchain, like rare Pepe trading cards and all this really experimental stuff. But with the concept, all sharing this concept that for the first time we had this new type of digital media that's kind of like scarce and ownable and tradable and sort of lives on the blockchain. So it gives it all these really unique new properties, like you can see who owned something and see the chain of ownership and stuff. So we started tossing around ideas of building something in that. We started working on a sort of MVP version of it, like a demo in late 2017, and that evolved into this digital art marketplace that we launched as SuperRare in like beginning of April 2018.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was reading a Medium article, and it was talking about how the artist on your platform earns a little over $100,000 over the last year, which is incredible for crypto art, digital art, and how early it is. So, yeah, it's awesome to see how quickly it's progressing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's grown a lot, and I think that's one of the best, or one of my favorite things about the project is we've developed this really passionate community of artists and collectors around the world, and like you said, artists have earned over $100,000 and counting, and it really is this. It's really early days, like. The whole ecosystem for digital collectibles, I think, is still shaping up. Like a lot of people, look at you crazy when I tell them what I'm
Yeah.
doing. But it really is like for artists, it's like this new income stream and completely new way to monetize work on the internet. So I think that's one of the most exciting things.
Yeah, it's a fantastic platform for artists because they can definitely, as an individual and having their ability to sovereignly share their work and their art and not have to go through like any centralized organization or not have to lose like a majority of their royalty and to avoid certain restrictions. Yeah, it's fantastic for artists, definitely. How do you see Super Rare kind of like evolving from where it's at now?
Yeah, great question. So when we launched it, we have our team has this mindset of kind of launch something really basic and fast and kind of shitty, even if it needs to be, and then iterate on it, see what people like the most, see what has the most legs, and kind of iterate on that. So when we launched Super Rare, it was really basic, and it was essentially a way for artists that they got in touch with us to tokenize their works. So create like a single edition, a sort of like quote unquote official digital version of a work, and launch it into this marketplace where it was all on chain and people could bid on it and purchase it with Ether. Um, and that was really exciting, and we were actually like really early to the market at that time, so artists hadn't been able to do this before. And along the year, the whole space has been kind of evolving, and what we really wanted to one of the first things we did to sort of like upgrade Super Rare was to push it really in the direction of a social like social network or social marketplace. So it's kind of like Twitter
Mhm.
or something like that, where everybody has a handle and a profile, and it's really easy to share your collection. And when you buy a piece, you're not just buying a piece of art, you're buying a piece of art from somebody, whether that's an artist or a collector. And that quickly became one of everybody's favorite things about Super Rare. That really like stood it apart from competing platforms, is this social aspect. And yeah, so we're continuing to go really strongly in that direction. So a couple of months ago, we just announced that in addition to having artists that are launching works natively on SuperRare, we're going to be bringing in more and more like tokenized digital art collections and other stuff that people are really interested in collecting, and adding those assets to the social marketplace. So it's going to be increasingly like multi-asset marketplace, and SuperRare is really like the social layer and the commerce layer that where that all happens. So that's what we're working on right now mostly.
That's really cool. Yeah, to expand on the social marketplace, is it going to be like trying to implement more like interaction between artists and like sharing, like kind of like Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna, right now the stuff you can do on the platform is all like commerce based. You can like bid on something, you can purchase something. We have started tracking likes and views. So we see we see these artworks as almost kind of like internet artifacts etched onto Ethereum. And so, like
Right.
something gets launched and it can accrue likes and views. And, but right now, like all the social conversations are happening like in Telegram and on Twitter. So we're going to increasingly bring that into the SuperRare platform itself. I think it makes sense for the conversations to be happening there. We're going to be, on that note, we're going to be cognizant of, you know, not turn it into a cesspool of internet, trollery like YouTube and some other platforms can be. But I think there's
Right.
ways to do that and still keep it, like a healthy community. And then,
So you have community guidelines.
yeah, exactly. And, like ways to flag like spam and obvious stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And I browsed the site quite a bit before, and I've looked at like your submission process, and I think it's basically still a Google Doc that you
Yeah,
submit.
man. Very high tech.
Yeah, totally high tech. What do you plan on doing for the submission process? Are you going to keep it kind of like that for now, or are you going to have something a little bit more with a better like UI around it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on upgrading that right now. And ideally, we're gonna have the that whole process be more of like a community effort rather than this kind of beta phase we've been in, where it's essentially like a team of us and our partners that talk to new artists, and essentially the way we think about it is less of like curating like a gallery. Like we don't see SuperRare as a gallery. It's more of like this sort of open platform. And what we're trying to do is just make sure that people creating on SuperRare are actually, it's your own work. It's not something that you just found on the internet. Because I think that we're still, this whole technology, this whole practice of collecting tokenized art is still in the trust building phase. So we want to make sure everything is authentic, but we're not here to say whether, like what I like isn't necessarily what,
Right.
other people are going to think is good art. But on that note, as it scales up, I have been thinking more about curation. Like there's a reason that curation, is a big part of museums and galleries. So we're actually looking into working increasingly with partners and having curated sections of SuperRare, so you can say like, oh, this is maybe like like a museum curator, or maybe like a hip hop DJ curated this section. Like these are like the top picks or whatever. So we're gonna be increasingly launching that stuff too.
Right. In terms of curation between like artists and whatnot and putting content on the platform, have you guys thought about what you would do in terms of like verification to like make sure that whoever's putting out or curating a certain content, it's actually their content and they're not like ripping it off from somebody else or just stealing it from the internet? And I know that's a complicated issue too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the approach so far that we're gonna stick to for the time being is that the creators, like, so people actually like, so the artists on SuperRare mint the non-fungible tokens themselves. So the NFT is the artwork. And if you are, if you have the conversation with us and our team approves you as a creator, then you have access. So you're essentially like your address is whitelisted in the smart contract. So then you have direct access to create tokens on the smart contract. And then so the curation would be kind of like a layer on top of that. So it would be people going in, looking at all the existing works, and then just like grouping them together and displaying them together like on their own page, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So in terms of it being primarily based around payments, do you guys plan on expanding what payment options you'd be offering for artists, for people that want to buy, sell, or trade art? I know that it's built on Ethereum and is an Ethereum dApp, and so that kind of limits things. But do you guys have plans to move beyond just Ethereum?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we're definitely interested in expanding the options. I would say our biggest focus right now is growing the collector side of the market. So we're like we're still in the early days of Ethereum dApps, and the user experience is kind of like still catching up with other more like mainstream like mobile apps, for example. But we're really interested in like making this like the easiest and most fun platform possible. So I think adding credit card payments is something that's on our roadmap. So people can pay with Apple Pay or pay with a card in your browser. It's been interesting talking to the artists who are like the biggest earners on our platform. I've run sort of like casual, unscientific polls just to get a conversation going around it. But a lot of the artists really like earning crypto and like they like the volatility of it, and it's kind of like this crazy ride. But it is really it is kind of crazy sometimes because if you price a piece on SuperRare, if you're the owner of it, at say like $100, and then 6 months goes by and it might all of a sudden be that price might be like $300 right now, or it might be like $40 depending on what ETH has done in the past 6 months. So it has been kind of a funny dynamic. So I'm a fan of the MakerDAO project. So we're looking into integrating DAI payments too, which would solve that volatility problem. And then so yeah, it's a matter of essentially the not so short answer is it's a matter of essentially like making it as easy as possible on the collector side, and then still giving like the seller options of whether they want to be like earning in like pure crypto like ETH or in USD or DAI or something like that.
So is DAI kind of like a stable coin? It's one of the few things I'm not very educated about on the Ethereum platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So DAI is a stable coin that's worth $1 essentially.
Okay. Oh yeah, that does solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably why I've seen it around.
Yeah, you should do a podcast on it. It's one of my favorite projects. And in a nutshell, it's there's a lot of stable coins like Tether and True USD and all these. Most of those are sort of centralized. Like each one, it's a sort of like IOU for a dollar that's like sitting in a bank account somewhere, which is obviously not censorship resistant and not like truly decentralized. So Maker is this whole smart contract platform that allows people to create DAI backed by like collateral assets. So it's like this pure crypto stablecoin.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to reach out to that to their team and see if anybody wants to come on and talk about it, because I need to learn more.
Awesome.
But yeah, with SuperRare, is it going to stay online, or are you planning to create like a mobile app around it or a mobile aspect for usability, or what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, totally. So it actually works fully on mobile browsers right now. So
Right.
if you and browsers are still just kind of catching up with Web3. But if you have any like Ethereum wallet that has a browser, so like Status IM or Trust Wallet or Coinbase Wallet, you can just go to superrare.co and start collecting art with ETH that you have in your wallet there. And one browser that I'm really excited about that's just kind of launching a beta version is Opera, which is a well-known browser that's been around for a long time. They're natively integrating a crypto like Ethereum Web3 wallet into it. So when that's fully released, you can just have Opera on your desktop and your phone and use either one seamlessly, and you don't have to use MetaMask or anything like that. So I'm really excited about that release.
Is Opera for Windows?
Yeah, I think they have it for Windows and Mac, Android, and iOS.
Okay, they do have it for Mac. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I've been using the Brave browser quite a lot. It works really well, and because I like Chrome, it's pretty fast and seamless. But it would be nice to have a browser that kind of has some of that stuff built in. So I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's kind of a UX blocker to tell your customers to install MetaMask. It's just like it seems like sketchy to have to install a browser extension. So I think
Right.
from a UX perspective, it's easier just to like get this new app where everything just works natively.
Yeah, I'm sure the market will kind of work that out.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and then to the second part of your question, yeah, we are working on a mobile app, which I'm super excited about, and that's going to be iOS first, followed by Android.
Oh, that's awesome. How's it going to work? Or what details can you talk about?
Yeah, so we're still working out like the exact like UX around payments and stuff, but the idea is just to have it be like really easy setup, really easy, just like swiping, tapping to browse through artworks, to trade, and like to pull out your phone and show your collection to people. Um, so kind of think like we kind
Mhm.
of talk about SuperRare as kind of like Instagram meets Robinhood, because those are two like kind of
Mhm.
social meets commerce, like mobile first, sort of modern takes on on finance and art. So we're kind of like blending those two. So those are that's kind of the arena where we're like trying to steer the UX for the mobile app.
Have you guys had to deal with any like financial hurdles, being that you guys do process transactions through Super Rare and everything? And I know in the U.S. the FinCEN goes around and tries to classify certain blockchain companies or startups or projects as like money services businesses and whatnot. Have you guys experienced any issues with that, or they just not really considered you an issue?
Happily, we have not. With what we are currently doing. Although that said, there are some things that we, would like to do or probably would have been doing so far that we have not been able to because of regulations. So Super Rare is a peer-to-peer marketplace. So, yeah, essentially like all the transactions on Super Rare are through our smart contract and truly peer-to-peer. So if you go on and buy an artwork that's owned by a collector, he gets your money, you get the artwork. That money or artwork token never comes into our custody at any time. It's completely non-custodial. And the artworks themselves, since they're unique and each one has an ID and like it's pretty clearly not a currency, it's pretty clearly not a security. Those aren't really regulated, or fall under the jurisdiction of U.S. regulators. But that said, there's UX hurdles that we would love to solve. For example, a new user really needs, even like an artist that's going on to create a token for the first time. They need a little bit of ETH to pay for gas in their account, and we would love to just be able to like sell them like $5 worth of ETH to get started, but we can't do that. We can't like sell them ETH for fiat because then we would need like a money transmitter license and fall under this regulatory area that we can't afford to to deal with right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Right.
But I think it's really interesting to see the whole, landscape evolve with the regulatory issues. Like obviously the US has been pretty slow to respond, but it's pretty interesting times we're in.
Yeah, hopefully the gas prices get a little bit cheaper. 'Cause they're spiking a little bit last couple weeks 'cause there's so much activity going on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Regarding the app, what about like an upload aspect? So like what if someone creates like a work of art in the real world and they want to put it on Super Rare and they have the app? Is it possible for them in the future to potentially like upload it to the app and have it become tokenized?
Yeah, no, we do plan on having tokenization built into the app. So it'll probably be um, similar to how it is now, where it's if you have a digital work, you can, upload it. The files are stored on IPFS, this file storage network, and create
Mhm.
the token that way. So yeah, you'll be able to create using the app as well.
Okay, cool. I actually didn't know you guys were on IPFS. That's awesome.
Yep.
So are you, other than Super Rare, are you working on any other projects?
So SuperRare is our main focus. We do have another project it's kind of been a side project that is essentially like the infrastructure that powers SuperRare. Um,
Mhm.
there, when we launched the marketplace, there was a decent amount of interest from people, like mostly businesses or entrepreneurs that were like, oh, this crypto marketplace thing is cool. Like I have this idea for basically this type of thing, but for my assets. Um, so we thought it was a reasonable thing to build. So we spent some time last fall and winter and launched it under the name the Pixera platform. So it's out there. It's kind of a beta. It'll probably be rebranded to something kind of like Launchpad, or like NFT Launchpad or something like that. And yeah, that was just a response to people being interested in experimenting with their own, um, kind of like a Shopify model, like spinning up their own marketplaces. Um, but
Mhm.
that said, I really do see the strength and the momentum of this social marketplace that we've built, that is Super Rare. So that is definitely like our primary focus right now.
How do you see blockchain shaping the idea of art as we kind of go forward into this technology and into the future, from your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question, and so we could probably talk for over an hour just on that one topic, but I'll try to keep it bite
Right.
sized. Um, I think any like big important technology impacts art in a tangible way, and you can look back and think about like the telephone or the automobile, or these things that emerge and kind of like shape our behavior, shape our experience of the world, and then by that turn shape how artists think and express themselves. So it's been really, and your people are kind of like, blockchain art, like what? How does how is that relevant? But it has been really interesting to be part of this sort of movement for over the past year, where it's in part it's a new medium for artists to express themselves. They have this ability to create scarce digital objects now. So it's a new revenue stream. And then there's a lot of artists that are doing stuff with generative, computer generative art, AI, kind of mashing up these different technologies. And there are even emerging art projects that are actually literally using the blockchain to create them. There's this project called Autoglyphs that was made by the founders of Larva Labs in New York, and it's essentially this generative art project um, that created 512 images that were generated by the code like actually running on Ethereum. So so yeah, it's really in the experimental phase right now, but it's really cool to see a movement like this in the sort of petri dish phase. So I really do think that like the creativity and the technology feed off each other. And but yeah, I mean, as far as like from what we're trying to do is obviously market themed, because like we're a marketplace at our core. So we're trying to like make this a really awesome collector experience, make it super fun and valuable for people to collect and trade these, and then obviously really focused on making this like a emerging and a really big new revenue stream for artists.
Absolutely. I was having a conversation with someone the other day about how blockchain is really changing the whole idea of what art is. And years ago, you've never imagined that art could be considered a crypto kitty. um,
Yeah.
and it almost feels like any evolution of like playing cards and gaming cards and stuff. And combined with like art and what you can do with NFTs, it's just very exciting how it's kind of evolving and creating almost its own asset class and kind of diversifying how we look at art, as well as giving artists a better platform as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think like it is really like what we're doing is essentially like conceptual ownership of the art. And so because the token on the blockchain is part of the art. It's part of the artist's intent that ownership of this token represents ownership of the art. Um, but it doesn't prevent people from sharing the JPEG, sharing the file or whatever. And it's kind of like this reversed ownership model. And some people from the traditional art world expect that it's about like hiding it so nobody sees it except the owner, which it's really not. It's kind of the opposite of that. So it does almost like harken back to some like conceptual art projects from the 1960s and 1970s. There's some famous examples of an artwork where the artist essentially like printed instructions on a piece of paper and signed the piece of paper, and that's like the certificate of ownership of the art. But then you had to go and like construct the artwork yourself, but the artwork wasn't what you constructed, the artwork was the piece of paper. So there's these sort of like whimsical conceptual things that people have been playing around with for a while, and this is kind of like rehashing some of the same concepts. So that's like another interesting part to watch play out.
Do you dabble in art as well?
I'm a musician, actually. I'm a drummer, so not a visual artist.
That counts. That's an
Yeah,
artist.
yeah.
Musical artist.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I have a background in music and digital media and like recording and that sort of thing.
Very cool. Are there any updates or important dates regarding SuperRare or anything cool going on in your world that you want to share with the audience or the people that'll be listening?
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to be at there's an upcoming event. It's at Christie's in New York City. There's an art and tech summit focused on AI art. So part of our team is going to be there. So if you're around, check that out. Otherwise, check out superrare.co and start collecting some digital art, or you can find us on Twitter at superrare_co.
Awesome. Thanks, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Anytime, man. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks.